Today's learning target is I can correctly use a video to help me solve math problems. Today you're going to be given three types of math problems that sometimes give sixth graders that kind of confuse them, that can be a little challenging. And my hopes are that you are going to use this video to help you solve these types of problems. Really, there shouldn't be any questions about the steps to these because I'm gonna go over the steps for these three types of problems. Okay, and that's what I want you practicing is watching the video to help you solve the steps. Now, if there's something as you're watching the video that you don't understand, that's a time when you can ask a question. That's a really good time to ask a question. Just make sure your question isn't, I don't get it, because that's not really a question. But specifically, what is it that you're not understanding from what you're seeing on the video? So let's give this a shot. So the first problem that we have, you can see we're going to be multiplying decimals. So you notice I write this problem out and I put it one number on top of the other. Okay? Now, the first thing that I'm going to do, people get confused by the decimals. And what do I do with the decimals? Well, here's what I tell them. When you do this, solve this problem without the decimals first, and then we'll deal with the decimals at the end. So let's do 23 times 9. And you notice I write it right next to it here. Okay, so I'm going to take 9 times 3 first, right there, and I know 9 times 3 is 27. So I'm putting my 7 here, I carry my 2. Now I'm going to go 9 times 2 is 18, plus that is 20, so I get 207. Now, I have to figure out where do I put my decimal. So to figure this out, I have to count the number of digits that are after the decimal in the problem that I solved. Okay, so there's a decimal here, and there's one digit after the decimal. Here's another one. So now that's another one. So there are two digits that are after the decimals that we see here. So that means in my answer here, I have to place my decimal so there will be two digits after the decimal. So to do that, if I put my decimal here, there would only be one digit after the decimal. That one right there. But if I place it right here, there are two digits after the decimal. So I put my decimal there, and now I can see that there are two digits after the decimal. So that would be my correct answer. So for this, I would put 2 and 7/100. All right, on this problem now, you can see that I have 871, and I'm going to divide that by 2. All right, so if you recall, remember I used the little phrase, did my snake bite, to tell me the steps. So first I divide, then I multiply, then I subtract, then I bring down. So my first step is I'm going to divide. So I'm going to say, how many times does 2 go into 8 without going over? And I know that that's 4. So I'm going to place that 4 right above there. Now I go to my next step, which is multiply. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 2 equals 8. Okay, so now I subtract, because that's my next step. And 8 minus 8 is 0. And now I bring down. I always put the arrows here to show that. So there's a 7. Okay, now once I bring down, I go back to my dividing. Okay, so 2 goes into 7 how many times without going over? So it would be 3 times. So 2, 4, 6. Okay, and now I multiply. So now I take the 3 times that by 2, and I get 6. So there's my 6. Okay, now I subtract. 7 minus 1 is 1. And now I bring down. Okay, so now I'm dealing with 11. I'm going to go back up here to dividing. So how many times does 2 go into 11 without going over? I count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 5 times. So I'm going to place my 5 up here. 5 times 2 is 10. And now I subtract. Okay, that gives me a 1. Now, some people will put remainder 1 here, but we want to put this as a decimal. So now watch how I do that. So if I'm going to have a decimal here, I'm going to continue this line, and I put my decimal right here in my number, so I'm going to place it right there. Okay, it's really important to put that decimal. Now I can put a 0 here, and I can bring that 0 down. Okay, so if I do that, now I have 10 as my number down here. So I divide, how many times does 2 go into 10? And that would be 5 times. Okay, so now 5 times 2, I multiply, and that gives me 10. And now I subtract. Okay, and that's 10 minus 10 gives me 0. And now there's nothing more to bring down, and I got it at a 0 here. Once I get it to a 0, I've got my decimal. So there, 435 and 5/10 is my answer. Here's the last problem we're going to solve here. So I'm taking 9 minus 3 2/10. So when I get a number or a problem where it's vertical like this, I want to do it, excuse me, I want to go up and down. So I'm going to put this like this. Now some people are going to get confused and they're going to do this. They're going to say, well, this has 2 digits, so I'm going to put that on top. Nope, that's not right, because I'm starting with 9 and I'm taking away 3 2/10. This problem here says I have 3 2/10 and I'm taking 9 away. So that's not right. So I start with my 9 and I'm taking 3 2/10 away. Now notice I put the whole numbers, the 9 and the 3, and I line those on top of each other. Okay, I want to do it that way. Now, what I'm going to do is this. If I have a 9 is the same as 9.0. Okay, it's the same number. Okay, so now I can do my subtracting normally. And when I subtract, all I do is I'm going to place my decimal right down here to start with so I don't forget. Okay, and now I just do my normal subtracting. And I look and I see 2. Can I take that away from 0? No, I need to borrow. So I'm going to borrow from here. I borrow 1 there. I bring that over here. Now I can subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. And now I go 8 minus 3 is 5. So my answer is 5 8/10.